So, hey guys, today we're finally talking about the Orcust support. And Orcust in general, it's kind of been incredibly garbage. Well, if we're talking peer, if we're talking like playing Orcust with a different archetype, perhaps like Punk Orcust, Horus Orcust, it was just fine. Wouldn't say it's amazing, but it's acceptable. So the primary issue with Orcust, well, there are mainly two things. So first, what starters do we have in Orcust? So if we look at one card starters, this is it, 3 Girsu. And if we look at the start of Master Duel, it was 1 Girsu, which is not great, but it was kind of awkward because you could kind of get 3-ish Girsu despite that. So all you have to do is you play Armageddon Knight plus Girsu plus Reinforcement of the Army, or you could play Scrap Recycler, I believe it was. And that adds up to about like 3-5-ish kind of normal summons that you can kind of do. But you don't always want to do normal summons either to do your combo starters, but that's mostly to play around hand traps. So for example, you have the idea of like Malice Underground plus Dormouse. So if Dormouse gets stopped by something, you can still activate Malice and Underground. That's the basic concept right there, I guess, right? But with Orcust, you only had normal summon Girsu, so if anything sneezes on your normal summon Girsu, you essentially have no play. And that is how Orcust Pier works. Great, right? Cool. So you have to run all of these cards for different reasons. So you have like Orcust Harp Horror, you have World Wand, you have Orcust Nightmare. So if you look at this, just this main deck, this distribution of your monsters, right? So actually, you also want some copies of Symbol Skeleton. But if we were playing pretty much pure, this is what we're looking at. We have 3 normal summons here and 11 cards. And you can technically also normal summon Orcust Harp Horror, but genuinely does nothing. So the issue is you had no way to get Harp Horror into the graveyard, which the Orcust support fixes here with Galatea 1, Galatea I, whatever that is, can't really tell. But yeah, the new Galatea here allows you to link on top of your Orcust or World Legacy monsters, and even if this had no effect, this immediately doubles the amount of starters you have, just straight up. So if this were a vanilla with no effect, this would already be massive. But of course, it does have an effect. So you can only link summon this card once per turn. It cannot be used as material for an XYZ summon. You can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, add 1 World Legacy monster or 1 Orchestrated Babble from your deck or graveyard to your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you can banish 1 other Orcust card from your graveyard, special summon this card. So honestly, this effect, this part right here, is not that relevant to Orcust. I don't think this is that good. Being able to add any World Legacy monster, if it was a World Legacy spell or trap, that would be a lot more massive. So, whatever. And then we have the effect to add a Orchestrated Babble from your deck or graveyard to your hand. This effect, I think, is huge. So, pretty simple concept here, I think. Well, with the effect of Galatea, this was the only way for you to, well, the link to Galatea, this was the only way for you to search any of your Orcust spells or traps. And you only get to search 1. So the only way you would have access to the 2 you would be playing, so I guess both of the spell traps you'd be playing, which in this case would be likely Crescendo and Babble. The only way you would have access to both is if you open one of them, and then you can set or activate it, which sucks. Because both of these are pretty powerful and crucial in their own ways. So Orcust Crescendo is a counter trap that is an Omni Negate that negates activation and then banishes the card, which is pretty damn good, honestly. And then we have Babble, which has the ability to be tied to a billion different effects. So basically, you have the idea of going Orcust Nightmare effect on your opponent's turn to send Symbol Skeleton. Symbol Skeleton will be able to reborn your Dingirsu. And then with the effect of, I believe it should be, well, instead of sending Symbol Skeleton first, you should be special summoning with the effect of Harpor, so it's actually Nightmare. Sends Harpor, Harpor special summons Girsu, Girsu effect to send Symbol Skeleton, and then Dingirsu. That is the optimal line, and the reason behind this is because you probably want to make IP first, so you could go something like IP into SP with Girsu here, plus IP on field, and that's like an additional 1, 2, 3 interactions off of essentially just having orchestrated Babel here, which is a lot of interactions. Meanwhile, Orcust Crescendo is a pretty good defensive kind of card because, well, your board is very, very vulnerable at the start of the main phase. So the only way for you to play around it is if you were to summon Dingirsu early and use its effect to protect from destruction, because Dingirsu does not have the effect to protect if it does not have materials. And it attaches a material to itself right here, specifically on special summon. So it would happen in the next chain. So if we go chain 1 Raigeki, chain 2 the special summon Dingirsu, Dingirsu just gets destroyed and does nothing, which is terrible. But yeah, that's why Babel and Crescendo are so important. Well, they're both important for different reasons, right? So if I get Raigeki'd, I'd be able to just negate Raigeki on the spot if I needed to do so. Or like a Harpy's Feather Duster or something. And then with Babel, there's just so many effects tied to this. And also, this would be a way to play around Bestials somewhat. So the issue here, a little bit, is you still have a choke point with World Legacy World Wand, because this is not an Orcust card. So there's still a choke point here. But yeah, having some choke points is more fair to your opponent anyways, so not that big of a deal. And you do have like Insane Grind, Insane Recycling ability. So there's that, and yeah. Continue on, the final effect here. If this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one other Orcust card from your graveyard, special summon this card. So this effect does not banish or lock you, interestingly enough. But yeah, this probably has some usages for maybe Mech Knight, because you can link summon this on top of a World Legacy monster. So I'm thinking that might be the case. And you could do something like, you do use Girsu as part of the Mech Knight combo, so I'm thinking maybe you could like go Galatea the Orcust Automaton, and then use this to maybe make Enlil Girsu. And Enlil Girsu has the effect to add a card to your hand that's banished, so this can add Girsu back to your hand, and then you can send this with like World Legacy Scar or something, Girsu. And that's probably like a play. There's probably something with this that you can do with Mech Knight. But that aside, banishing an Orcust card is huge, because this allows you to use World Wand a little bit more effectively, because this has the effect to specifically special summon a banished Orcust monster, so that there's a little bit of synergy with this card here. So we can do like banish Dingirsu, special summon Dingirsu with the effect of World Wand. We can also banish any of our like link monsters, and this will allow us to more easily recycle them, because the previous way you would want to recycle them is essentially you would make access code to banish your Orcust link monsters, and then you'd be able to put them back in Dexter deck with your Orcust link monster effects, or you can summon them with World Wand to recycle some cards, I guess. You didn't really have a good way to put your link monsters back into the deck, which means you do run out of plays somewhat, despite having like technically Insane Grind with the recycling ability of Galatea and Longirsu here. But yeah. just doubling the amount of starters. So if we just do some math, we'll just do this for fun. If we have 3 starters, we have around 30% chance to open a starter. Just with this Link 1 existing, like even if it had no effect, this nearly doubles our well within pure Orcust, this doubles the mass starters we have. So we go from 30% to about 50% chance of opening just a starter. So now it's 1 in 3 games to 1 in 2 games, more or less. And that's just looking at it completely pure, right? And these cards are still kind of bricks a little bit. You know, we have Orcust Nightmare, World Wand, Orcust Symbol Skeleton. We have Babel and Crescendo. If we're looking at 2-card combos, we don't have any impressive 2-card combos, honestly, though, because you didn't really have a good way to get cards out of your hand. So if I had Orcust Nightmare in hand, the only way for me to get this into the graveyard would be to have Galatea set return, activate return, or I just hard open return to send Orcust Nightmare, and you just really don't have ways to get Orcust monsters out of your hand within Orcust itself. So that there was even the idea of playing like cards that discard from your hand just to get these cards out of your hand, and that would be cards like Barricade Board Blocker, which is kind of goofy to think about, but yeah, you would just discard to get these out of your hand, right? And that also made it still viable before the support to play like Nightmare Unicorn instead of SP, just so you could potentially send a card if it were relevant. I think it is relevant in some builds still. Well, before the support, anyways. But now, not really that relevant because you have the idea of using the Link 1 Galatea here to discard a card. So that's crazy. Now if we open a hand that will look like this, you know, we'll be able to normal summon the Harper, and look at this, we have World Wand stuck in our hand and Orcust Nightmare. So Orcust Nightmare, we're okay with this being in hand, but we need this World Wand in graveyard a lot more. So you could make that work out a lot better. So yeah, there's that idea basically. And then we have the effect of Enlil Girsu here, which actually has synergy with the Galatea here as well. You can target one of your banished Orcust or World Legacy cards. So this includes your spells or traps. And the notable one is going to be, of course, Orcust Crescendo, being recyclable now. So this doesn't specify specifically monsters, it's just cards, right? So you can target one of your banished Orcust or World Legacy cards, add to your hand, then you can shuffle one card from your hand into the deck and take control of one face-up monster your opponent controls. So if we're going pretty late into a game on a later turn, we have the idea of doing like effect of Crescendo to add a Dark Machine monster from your deck or banishment to your hand. So we can do this effect, and then this gets banished, and then we can use the effect of Enlil Girsu to target one of our banish cards. So in this case, we'll go with Orcust Crescendo, and then we can shuffle back Orcust Crescendo, or we can just keep it in hand and then just set it, because it is actually optional. Right here, as you can see, you can shuffle, so optional to take control of one card your opponent controls. And then we have, during your main phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there from the extra monster zone this turn, you can banish this card, send one card on the field to the graveyard. So non-targeting removal. But this doesn't have a single way for this to be triggered, specifically from any of your Orcust effects. You can't really trigger this. You would need to play at least IP to like link this off for this to actually work. But I guess there's decent synergy with IP anyways, because we can well, let's assume World Wand, I guess. Yeah, World Wand is banished. Here we can shuffle back World Wand into our deck, take control of one of our opponent's cards, and then we have Enlil Girsu plus IP plus one of our opponent's monsters, which is technically that adds up to quite a few things. We could go for either a rival or like Apollosa, SP. All of those are options, I guess, that you can go for. And then if we go for any of those options, we can then actually activate the effect of Enlil Girsu in the graveyard because of the effect of Babel. We can also, if we wanted an additional material, we could even trigger Galatea the Orcust Automaton here. Because this is in fact an Orcust card, I'm pretty sure we could just summon this on our opponent's turn as well. So that's crazy. And if you needed additional Orcust cards to be banished for the effects of like Galatea or Longirsu, this actually helps with that a little bit, which I think is pretty cool. And yeah, this support actually changes a lot, but I don't think it makes the deck actually broken because there's still quite a few issues with the deck. Like in terms of terrible draws, this is terrible. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 horrible draws. So if we look at just like the pure Orcust part of this deck, which I've assembled here, half of these cards are actually bad draws, technically, right? So yeah, you still have some consistency issues, and it's not like you insanely play through hand traps all of a sudden. So let's say we have just Girsu, normal summon Girsu. Now my opponent can hit me with anything here. So we have Imperm, Ash Blossom, whatever. Link off or Galatea over here. What can we add? What can we do? Nothing. So in terms of every single World Legacy monster you can add, the best you can do is you can add a guy to your hand that allows you to link summon into a link too. And there's no lock with Girsu, so yeah. With just Girsu effect, right? So it's everything but Girsu and World Wand that locks you, right? No wait, World Wand locks you. It's just Girsu. Girsu's like the only card that doesn't lock you. So yeah, but we can technically make Altea for no effect. So we'd pass on like a Girsu, which doesn't do much. If you were playing Fiendsmith Orcust, I guess you could go into Fiendsmith combo, which I think is a little sad. So you just go into Fiendsmith combo from this point and then pass on like High Wave King Caesar or something. Kind of depressing. But you know, that's the thing you could do. Or if we're looking at pure Orcust, you can do literally what might as well be nothing. So no way to really get into Crescendo at the moment, I don't think, right? There's no way to banish 2 Orcust monsters here, is there? You can banish exactly Girsu whenever you link off the Galatea here. And then what? Nothing. Basically. If you were able to go into Girsu and banish this as well, like if you went into SP and then Galatea, but I don't think you have enough materials to do that, do you? Wait. If you have an extender, it's like a maybe. But if it's purely one card, no. And also that sounds terrible. That ends on basically just Galatea grabbing either Crescendo or Babel, but having no way to probably send Girsu to the graveyard at this point in time, I don't think. But yeah. Orcust support is great because it doesn't push Orcust over the edge. It just helps to fill the gaps that Orcust has had for a while now. And that's what I would like a lot of support to do, honestly. Like, if we look at Altergeist, for example, before we even consider what the cards do you want to check the consistency on these cards? It's awful. So, for example, Multifaker, this card's actually genuinely useless. If this card is special summoned, okay, how does this get special summoned? If you activate a trap card, you can special summon this card from your hand. Okay, so what trap card? I can't search a trap card. I can't specifically add something that's always going to be activatable. So for example, if I have Manifestation, what am I going to do here? Manifestation for nothing because I have Multi-Faker Manifestation in hand? That does nothing. So we have like ideas of Multi-Faker plus Protocol, or Multi-Faker plus like spoofing, or any Altergeist plus spoofing into Multi-Faker, or one interaction. Silquatus effect to bounce. I don't even know what this would be at the moment. Yeah, just a single Silquatus bounce? Yeah. So in terms of one card combos, you also have one. So with Altergeist Meluseek. And also for some reason the deck is not that much of a backward deck now. It's a combo deck. Yeah. Having an Altergeist Link one would help out a little bit, I guess. Because there's no way to get Meluseek into the graveyard and make sure you can still activate Multi-Faker, because Multi-Faker can be used as part of your combos as well, which is tilting. So in terms of your best combos for Altergeist, you have Marionetter plus a Altergeist monster. So specifically, you want either, it should be Marionetter plus Multi-Faker, or Marionetter plus Meluseek. And that's combo. If you have, for example, Marionetter plus Silquatus, this doesn't do anything. It's actually horrid, terrible, completely unplayable. And then from here we have, let's see, I think actually P.U.N.K plus Marionetter does something, but it's like incredibly mid, right? So it would be like Marionetter, grab Haunted Rock, or set Haunted Rock, activate Haunted Rock, sending P.U.N.K, effect to send Haunted Rock, special summon P.U.N.K, link off for Extia, add back P.U.N.K, link off for Prime Banshee. No, wait, is that actually combo? Oh my god, that's actually combo, isn't it? And then you have Hextia to add, it's not Multi-Faker here, it should be Malwisp, I think. And then Malwisp should be able to grab, I guess it would be just anything from the graveyard. And then you have Prime Banshee effect to special summon Multi-Faker to then probably grab Meluseek, I guess, which is going to grab something else. And then you can go into Adminia. So, okay, you have 3 cards that do something with Marionetter. But if you open any 2-card combination without Marionetter, that is not really combo. Unless you open your 1-card starter, which is Meluseek. Because I'll tell you right now, like, P.U.N.K, this Multi-Faker ain't going to do anything. So, the issue, a lot of your cards are just completely dead in hand and do nothing. And you have also not enough starters, and also you have a bunch of cards that are technically bad draws. Notably, you have Malwisp now, which is kind of dead in hand for whatever reason. So yeah, that sucks. Like, a lot. And let's see. This cannot summon backlink monsters, which I think is fine. But yeah. Altergeist genuinely would need support to even, like, it wouldn't need super broken support like what Orcust got, similar to this a little bit, just to be playable. So yeah, that's actually kind of depressing, I would say. Honestly, just the Link 1 Altergeist card that like locks you into Altergeist and then reborns a Altergeist monster, kind of like Splash Mage, summons it in defense. That would probably be enough so that you can actually link Lime. So your deck does something. Even if it's not a whole lot of something, it's still going to increase your amount of starters a little bit. So Multi-Faker could be a starter then, like link off Multi-Faker, special summon back Multi-Faker, trigger Multi-Faker, right? And then it'll get you places. Kind of like what Galatea here does. But yeah, the support actually changes a lot. So notably, we have a lot more starters, and we still have all of the old techs we had before. So I think Fiendsmith is still kind of just moot point a little bit. That defeats the purpose of playing Orcust, in my opinion, because Orcust plus Fiendsmith, it just doesn't have that much synergy, and I don't think this really plays well into Nibiru. And I don't think Orcust really has a good way to play around Nibiru, which I think is kind of neat in its own kind of way. And it also isn't generically good into like any sort of hand traps. Honestly, like you're screwed against Pistols, Ghost Bell, Ash Blossom Joe Spring, Infinite Impermanence, Effect Veiler. Just the list goes on. Roland Lockbird is okay actually, because you don't really do searches. It's just Roland Lockbird exactly, which you might be okay against, which means you can play Droll to Droll yourself to protect yourself from Maxi and Molcharmies, which the deck is also not that great against. But yeah, you can probably work something out to the point where this deck is at least playable, but I don't think this is like a tier 0 meta threat, you know. But you know, if you're an Orcust enjoyer, now Orcust might be a little bit more enjoyable and a little bit more playable at least, without having to be completely broken and taking over the game, which I think is nice. Balance. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.